Greetings. Welcome to Growth Hacking Show, where we have founders, CEOs, serial entrepreneurs come and share their experiences so you can learn from them what not to do to grow your business and plus a few of their success secrets. We are going to grab that one as much as possible. In case you don't know me, my name is Mohammed Sadiq. I'm the host of Growth Hacking Show and the co-author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. Today, I have a very special guest. He is just like me, quote unquote immigrant, came for a little assignment for 2 3 years in the United States, and now 30 years later, today we are on this. Of course, this land of opportunity attracted him so much he could not leave this place, and I'm sure he's going to share that one. Plus, why you want to listen to my guest today is he is really the growth consultant, advisor, CEO, and a best-selling author. I'm sure you will have a opportunity to see his book as well, and which you want to grab and actually read that very carefully because my guest has so many accomplishments over 3 decades. As an example, raised over $100 million, helped a client become from number 4 to number 1 in their business in the market share. We are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't want to kind of scare you enough. I think that's a good enough to actually to stop everything what you're doing. And next few minutes, let's watch our guest and listen in very carefully because we wish learn thing or two from our guest. Please join me to give a warm welcome to Arie. Arie Brish. Arie Brish is based in Austin, Texas, a beautiful place. Arie, welcome.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Arie, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to become who you are today?
Yeah, it's going back many years. Now that I'm looking back at my life, I always was attracted to doing something different than most other people or other kids in the case of my school days. So doing something different. So for example, in high school, everybody was playing soccer. I took swimming just because I like to be different. The same thing, my first job right after school, people went to I took electrical engineering. That's another story. I won't take the time for that. But when I graduated, the job that I took, people thought I'm crazy. I became a designer of the first 32-bit microprocessor in the world, basically, where most other graduates went to some traditional communication, designing a radio, designing a TV camera, or something very traditional. I jumped on the latest and greatest pushing the envelope semiconductor technology, and as a side note, they also paid 50% more than everybody else. So that was another element in the decision. But really, the main thing was jumping on a boat or jumping into uncharted water and learn to swim on the go or on the job kind of learning. All over my career, I took every few years I get bored and jumping on another boat, and every time it's something totally different than I did in the past, which for my career planning, it's maybe risky because you can fail every time you take something new like this. But 30 years later, I found myself as very rounded and with my fingers in many different industries and business functions. And that's kind of what triggered for me to write the book. And this is the book, by the way. It's available on Amazon. It became #1 new release on the first week and in and out of the top 10 bestsellers since then. That's now the 5th month we are selling the book. So it's still keeping up in the list. The unique thing about the book is the diversity of my experience. At some point, I said, okay, I need to share it with the world and have people learn from all these experiences. And one thing I found in doing different jobs in my career is that you can learn from one another, regardless of the industry, regardless of the country. Some of the business obstacles are very similar. So if you are building airplanes and you hit some obstacle, maybe the automotive industry had a similar obstacle 20 years ago, or maybe the medical industry had a similar obstacle 20 years ago. So in my book, I try to be very diverse. And last time I counted, there are like 25 different industries covered and over 10 countries. And the time span is, I think my oldest example or my oldest case study is from the 1500 and going up all the way to the present, including also extrapolating to the future. So I cover between 1500 and 2100 different examples.
Wonderful, wonderful. Aria, I was reading your LinkedIn profile. Let me say, you are a true serial entrepreneur. It's hard to even focus on that many reading. Mm-hmm. Look at this, like 8 years in, Israel, Texas, partner in another company, solidleaders.com, and Ready Flow Business Development, mentor at Capital, Faster Capital, mentor at International Accelerator for 4 years, Capital Factory. They're all present things. Advisor and family plan and board member on this. And oh my God, I'm already tired. I need to drink water. And also, it's our limited partner in Overcrowd, and of course, author of Lay an Egg and Make a Chicken Soup for and principal EXO 360. So you have a hell lot of experience to share, and I'm sure there are so many things we can learn from you. However, relax. I'm not going to ask you everything you have done. So based on your experience of working with so many international clients and your own business, what are the top 3 things someone should avoid not to do to grow their business? Because the mistakes cost more money than actually the growing.
Correct. So the principles of right and what's a right strategy and wrong strategy kind of across industries, across technologies, keep repeating themselves. And one mistake that people do when they innovate something, and by the way, I start the book with preaching in favor of innovation, the importance of innovation to any business. And innovation, people misperceive that term as technology. Innovation doesn't have to be technology. Innovation is anytime you do something new or something different in your business. For example, Michael Dell did not invent computers. He created a new way to buy computers. Same thing with Uber, for example. It's kind of perceived as a technology company, but they did not invent any new technology. They use existing technologies, but they invented or innovated a new service using existing technology. So innovation doesn't have to invent a new technology. So one principle I always preach for, and people repeatedly making a mistake is try to be different. So don't try to be better, but rather try to be different. And there is a whole chapter in the book about that. So the slogan or the title of the chapter is, in business is better to be different than to be better. Because anytime you try to be better, somebody else may be even better than you. Maybe you're trying to improve performance of this or that by 20%, and you wake up 2 or 3 years later and somebody improved it by 30%. So even though you met your goal of 20% improvement, but you lost to the competitor that made 40% or 50%. So don't try to be better because there is lots of people competing. Try to change the rules of the game or invent a new game, so to speak, that will make you the only player in this new game. So this is a principle number one. Another thing that repeated mistake is a learning curve or experience curve of whatever new gadget or new service you bring to the market. Anytime you do something new, whether it's a new restaurant or a new automobile or whatever it is, the learning curve or experience curve cause the cost of this service to be higher than what the market would expect. Many people have the urgency, or even investors have the urgency to start make money from day one. But guess what? If you price your new product based on your cost on day one, nobody will buy the product because the cost on day one may be $200 and people will not pay for this product more than $15. So you really need to sell it for $15 on day one and drive your cost down as quickly as possible to make a $15 profitable. So these are the main two things that many entrepreneurs kind of stumble on, trying to be better and trying to make money too soon.
One more thing, I asked for three.
Three. Okay, so I can go to 20.
Yeah.
But these are the main two that I see kind of repeating themselves. If you want a third one, let's talk about what drives a new service or a new product. What drives it is a gap or a need in the marketplace that your new product fulfill. So the easy answer to that, how do you know what the need is? You go and ask the customer, which that makes sense. But the way you have this dialogue with the customer should be a little different. You should interview the customer or customers to get a bigger picture of the audience. Interview about what problems they are facing, and not try to get yourself to a point where the customer will suggest a solution, because in many cases the customers don't know your business enough to suggest a solution to whatever gap you're addressing. So apply some intelligent thinking when you talk to the customer or look at the problem in the market. Be creative in how to solve that problem, because sometimes the straightforward solution is not always the best solution.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's a great wisdom what not to do. So let's switch the side of the table. So what are your top 3 success secrets? Because you have so many of them, and very impressive profile again. So we want to know, what are the top 3 success secrets to grow our business?
So it's almost a repeat of what we talked about, but on the positive side of the equation.
Yeah.
So the first, I cannot repeat it enough. Be different and not better.
Yeah.
That's always a good recipe for success. And the different needs to obviously address something that people want to buy for the price that they want to buy. So make it, drive your cost to where it can be priced in a price that people will buy. The other thing we didn't talk about, that it's more about recipe for success. Ecosystem is very important in every business, but the more complicated the ecosystem is, the more important it is to your success. For example, is the medical field. The ecosystem is very complex between the pharmaceutical developing medications and the health insurance and the doctor and the pharmacy and the patients and all this combination, and there is money and services flowing between all these entities. And anytime you come with an innovation to such a complex ecosystem, you must make sure that you people call it business development. I prefer to call it ecosystem development. Make sure that the ecosystem is all working in favor of your new innovation. That creates a tailwind that everybody, there is a win. Depends how many elements in the ecosystem. The more wins you can put in the list for different elements in the ecosystem, the better chance for success you have, because everybody is pushing the wagon. In this case, the wagon is your new product or service. Everybody is pushing the wagon in the same direction because everybody has something to win from your success.
Yeah, that's a great example of ecosystem. So, Aria, I see that you have helped businesses to raise like $100 million plus, you know. So many entrepreneurs, CEOs, when they want to raise funds, what are the basic things they need to make sure? Because many of those, you know, when seeking an investment, they are getting rejection. Sometimes you kind of feel down. Mm-hmm. So what are the keys kind of recipe to be successful in raising capital for the business?
The answer shifts over time. If you ask the same question in 1995 or you ask it today.
We are talking about today, yeah.
Yeah, right. So number one advice to any entrepreneur is try to do as much as you can on your own before you go and seek outside investment. And the reason for that, obviously, you have a better chance of getting some investors interested if you can demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. It's more than just one idea. You have a proof of concept. You have some customers that vote of confidence from customers, at least verbally. The investor can call the customer and say, will you buy it? And will you pay $20 for this? And this and that. So try to get to a point where you made enough progress on your own. And in the book, by the way, I talk about, it's called Bootstrap. In the book, I talk about different funding sources when you start a business. So that can take a long time. But one thing, don't quit your job too quickly. Or if you do, make sure that you have funding sources to put food on the table while you are still trying to prove the business or bootstrap the business on your own. And the sources could be family, friends, your spouse, working spouse, maybe, things like that. So maybe some saving, but try to get to a point where investors will start to chase you and not the opposite. So this is the important thing. The next one, don't try to take a too big investment too soon, exactly, because the investors will take too significant part of your business. So go on your own as far as you can, and then take a small investment to go to the next milestone, and take smaller investments. It's more time consuming because you find yourself raising money every year, almost continuously. Yeah. But when you do that, you don't lose your equity in the company too quickly.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So, Aria, how are you growing your business right now in this economy?
Okay, so my business is my client's business. So I'm helping my clients. So it depends on where they are in their life cycle. I push them to different angles, and everything we talked about. That's kind of the things I face with almost any client I have is the same issues that we talked about, and many more that I talk in the book. So that's kind of basically my day-to-day is growing my client's business. As far as my own, my business is basically spreading my wisdom, or not my wisdom, but my entire life wisdom, and that's hundreds of people I had the honor to work with, either past colleagues, past customers, past suppliers. So, and I wrote it at the beginning of the book, that the book is dedicated to all the teaching people taught me over through my career. So I'm kind of a central point of hundreds of people's wisdom put into a 300-page book. So the more people take the book and just scan the theme of the book is basically the devil is in the details. You can have the best idea in the whole world. If you don't execute correctly, you're going to fail. And the book, 80% of the book is talking about execution advice and execution issues and execution blind spots. Only 10 or 20% is your traditional venture capital books, how to raise money from venture capital. I have one chapter about how to raise capital. The 90% of the book is how to execute, so your investors will be happy with you at the end of the game. So next time you have a new startup, it will be easier for you to raise money from the same investors. So
Wonderful, Arie. The people who are watching this right now, the community of Growth Hacking Show community, how they can support you?
I think it's the idea that execution details are extremely important for success of any business, whether it's a restaurant or a new app on a smartphone. And the book kind of walk you step by step through all these execution blind spots, potential blind spots. So anytime somebody is thinking about a new business, take a look in this book, and it's almost written as a checklist. You can look at just at the outline of the book and use it as a checklist. You don't have to read the whole book.
Yeah,
all the chapters are just giving you examples to make it a little more lively. But you can just tear the first few pages with the outline and use it as a checklist to what to pay attention when you plan a new business or a new product. The book, by the way, is even good for innovation in large companies. So I cover, every chapter cover if there is a difference between large company challenge and a small startup challenge. I cover both. Because innovation is not only technology entrepreneurship. Innovation, you find innovation in large.
Let's show the book one more time on a screen. And you know what? If you have a small business or you're a big business or you're a mid-size SME, this is the book you need to read by Arie Brish, Lay an Egg and Make a Chicken Soup. As we shared, the top 10 bestseller on Amazon. And I want you to, this is the way, has like a checklist for your whole business life almost. You will go through many things. How many places you can get one book, and the author has done so many things. You can see it on LinkedIn. Before you even buy a book, if you have a question with the author directly, I showed the LinkedIn screen, go ahead and connect with them on LinkedIn, ask a question. And thank you so much, Arie Brish, for showing up and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thanks for having me.
As we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
Thanks for having me. And one thing about the name, people may wonder where the name is coming from. And by the way, sometime when you search for on an Amazon, sometime it will come among cookbooks. It's not a cookbook, it's a cookbook for business. And the reason for the name is very often when you innovate, very often you have this chicken and an egg dilemma. So that's where the name is coming from.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Arie Brish, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of Growth Hacking Show community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddiq signing off from Atlanta, Georgia, wishing you good luck, good sales. I hope our path across again with another amazing guest. Until then, all best wishes.
Thank you very much from Austin, Texas.